Hi, this is Mr. Kays. We're looking at 8.1 now, Diverse Societies in Africa. We'll look at some geographic items right now. Africa is the second largest continent in the world. It's second only to Asia. It's a huge chunk of land. 1/5 of the world's surface, 20% of it, is in Africa. In Africa, we have many rivers and cataracts, or waterfalls as they're called, and rapids. What's the implication here? It makes it so you can't travel up the river all the way. It has narrow coastlines, which means it's not good for hiding fish, or fish hiding. So you're not going to see a huge commercial fishing fleet. Yes, people still fish for their dinner, but you're not going to see huge schools of fish that they can catch and sell commercially. If you look at Africa, it looks like a plate, a dinner plate turned over. And if you look at the side of it, it's sloping beaches or sloping coastlines, and then a plateau. You're not going to see too many mountain ranges in Africa compared to the other continents. At the northern portion, in the southern portion of Africa, you see deserts. The Sahara is the biggest desert in the world. In the south, you see the Namib and the Kalahari deserts. So they kind of mirror north and south. If you were to fold Africa in two, you'd see it like a mirror. Deserts in the north and the south, and rainforests in the middle region, eastern central region of the continent, near the equator. Just kind of a clue, if you see the equator, quite often you're going to see, and it hits land, you're going to see it probably tropical or raining every day. There are tsetse flies. You pronounce it tsetse, tsetse. It causes a sleeping sickness that's very fatal to cattle. It kills cattle herding societies, and it can be fatal to man, producing a sleeping sickness that can be fatal. So these are things to overcome. Africa also has grasslands. 3/5 of Africa is grassland. 60% of Africa is grassland. They are called savannas. Now here is where you're going to see farming take place. Even though the soil may not be as rich as it looks to be, this is what people grow. Sorghum, which is a grass for cows. Millet, which you can make into bread. Rice, wheat, and maize. Maize is corn. In the northern part of the continent of Africa, you have the Sahara Desert. South of the Sahara, right on the edge of the grassland and the desert, is called the Sahel region. It's a coastline, not of the water, but of the desert. And it cuts the vast ocean of sand. Well, the Sahara being the largest desert in the world, it's going to continue to grow. And the Sahel region is going to get less and less. The grassland is going to recede every year. The process by which the grasslands become desert is called desertification, and there are 4 reasons why it grows. 2 are man-made, 2 are nature-made. 1 is drought. Drought is a lack of water. Erosion is the second one. It's wind erosion. As the winds blow across the dry ground, it takes the topsoil with it. Those are 2 nature-made ones. 2 man-made ones are overgrazing and overcutting of the forests. With no root systems in the grass, with no root systems of the trees to keep the moisture in the ground, it gets dry and just blows away. And it's a tragedy in Africa. They can't seem to really get their act together. In the 1970s and 80s, there was a crippling drought in Africa, specifically Ethiopia and Sudan area, that destroyed quite a bit of grassland, and it hasn't come back. Early humans adapt to their environment. Now your textbook talks about the idea that the first man evolved in Africa. Okay, well, that's a theory. And they found remains of the oldest man, they think, in the Great Rift Valley, which is like the Grand Canyon of Africa. People are going to eventually move out of this area in the first ever migration, and they're going to move north and south because east and west is going to be impossible because of the steep cliffs along the valley. Early people, the textbook postulates, were hunters and gatherers. They roamed around for their food, and this started about 10,000 BC. It's going to change life on the savanna when they're able to grow crops and build permanent shelters and work in crafts like metalworking, they smelt iron, and in pottery. What was important was family. An extended family includes mom, dad, and the kids, plus grandparents, aunts and uncles, cousins, and they typically lived close by. People that can trace their ancestors back belong to a clan, and then the clans all gathered into a tribe. Their religion dictated mostly that spirits play a role in daily life. So that's animism, A-N-I-M. The word animal comes out of animism. Animated means you move. So spirits might inhabit trees, plants, the sun, moon, and stars, and animals. Important in their society is griots. Griots would be storytellers. They would preserve the history of the tribe. They would share the news from other tribes. They would preserve the culture and the literature of the people. If they don't have a written language, the griots become very important. They'd be combination CNN, the movie channel, MTV, and these other channels, okay? Storytellers preserve the history and they give the news. And people wait for the griots to come into their village so they can share the latest gossip and news, and the kids learn about the history of their people. Okay, early societies in Africa. Along the Niger River are tributaries, smaller rivers, and on this tributary is the city of Djenné in West Africa. It's the oldest known city in West Africa that they've been able to excavate. And with people living on the river, they're going to use the river for food, irrigation, water to drink, water for their animals, and trade. They're going to move up and down the river, the Niger River and its tributaries, to trade. That becomes a regional trade area. The oldest known culture in West Africa, near Djenné, is the Nok culture. These people did farm. They learned how to smelt iron and make blast furnaces to melt the iron ore down and make tools. Now, in closing, just want to show you a picture of a cataract on the Nile River. That is a river that you cannot sail up and down all the time. Certain parts you can. As you get farther into the interior of Africa, you see this. So it's almost impossible to go up and down the river in certain parts. Well, this is the end of 8.1. This is Mr. K's, and I'll see you down the river, much farther down this cataract. Bye-bye.